So I'm going to do a quick little video for Dpoppe. Try to get his build all set up. Go in the exhibition, he's working under slap into face. Now he has a 50 part limit and a growl cab. I don't have the growl cab, so I'll just buy one real quick. Growl. Yeah, it's actually gone down in price a little bit, so that's good. I'm just gonna buy one off the top. I've been needing to buy one anyway, so whatever. Exhibition. I don't have any open slots at the moment, so I have to go ahead and delete one. I have Tora Machina up. I'll delete that. No, I don't need the Hornet anymore. That can go away. Exhibition. Slap in the face. I actually have to press the download button. So, this is a bit of a beginner build. We have Avengers and a Cord. I'm not sure how much money he's working with. I can actually probably ask him that. What am I missing? I'm missing the heavy generator and one of the Avengers. Oh, I don't have enough Avengers. That's okay. I can work around that. So, his hazardous generator, where's he keeping that? Okay, I'm going the wrong direction. Slap in the face, hazardous generator. It looks like it's in the back, right around here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yep, there it is, right there. Heavy generator. I say hazardous. So the first thing is the heavy generator is huge for what you get. You get the exact same thing out of the hazardous generator, which is why I keep talking about it. I'm going to have to go here. So you've got your heavy and your hazardous. A heavy generator is 6 long, 2 wide, 2 high, 4 wide, whatever, it's all the same thing. When you start pressing E and Q, it all becomes the exact same thing. So the hazardous is 3 by 4 by 2, so it takes up a heck of a lot less space. The only big difference being that one of them has a bigger explosion, like twice the explosion radius. But with a build like this, when that thing goes, you're fried anyways. So no big loss there. First thing I would do is tear your frame apart, honestly. So let's get rid of these wheels. We can put them back later. Let's go into our frames here, 2x4s. Now, what you want to do here is actually space your frame out so that you've got a little bit of room to work. And you can take things like a smaller generator or the gas tanks and drop them underneath your build. This takes up a few more parts. That's okay. So like that, and you can extend it out. This creates a 6 wide vehicle, which is where your wheels are 8 out. Okay, so 8 out is not bad. The wider your build is, the less likely it's going to tip. One thing, let's continue with that actually, with the frame, because that's where you want to go. It depends on what pieces you have, how far out you want to build your frame. Your frame isn't... No, it's balanced. Never mind. Don't mind me. So you've got your 8x4. Why is that not going over there? No, your build isn't balanced. I don't know what parts you're working with. I know you're working with lunatic parts. Oh, it's because I deleted that already. Okay. So these things... I'm not a big fan of lunatic armor. It's light, which is nice and that you can have more pieces of it, but you only have 50 pieces. You don't really have to worry about your mass limit so much right now. Now, one thing to keep in mind here, you have a lot of wheels. The more wheels you have, watch your acceleration bar. See how it's drops or raises dramatically depending on your wheels? That's because of the most recent patch. You want to have as few wheels as possible to keep your mass limit from being yellow. And I'll show you what that means here. And I'm just going to put some fairly decently heavy parts on here. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. See, I'm putting some really heavy parts on. Your mass limit's not changing at all. You have entirely too many wheels for your build right now. There you go. See that? Watch your acceleration bar there on the bottom. Huge difference. At this point, you know you have too much weight and you need more wheels. You can only go as high as the number on the right before it does this. One more piece. I need a heavy one. That's a heavy piece. Turns red. Now, if you test drive it and it's red, it just doesn't go anywhere. If it's yellow, you're gonna drive real slow. So, another thing is you can lose some wheels. If you go down to 4 wheels, your acceleration is going to go up past the G in kilograms. So from here, it accelerates pretty quickly. But if we go to the exhibition, we reload your... I don't need to go to the exhibition, I have it loaded here. You don't accelerate quite as fast. Now, for a build like this, you're going to be looking at a long-range build since you have cannons. You don't necessarily want to get right up on somebody. This is entirely too close because your cannons are only forward-facing. You only have this much room before your primary weapons are out of sync. So you want to be... at least this far away from your enemy before you start running away. And if you like cannons, Avengers are the very most basic ones, get to little boys and fat boys, you're going to run into some weight issues. It's not necessarily a good thing for the growl cab. Growl cab is light, it's fast, it's about getting across the battlefield. Shotguns, machine guns, things that can react fast and that are light. So for the heavier guns, for cannons, I use a jawbreaker or a heavy cab. It just works for me. Anyways, back to where we were at. Take your frames. Let's get rid of these wheels. Get your 2x4s. Let's start with a 2x6 for now. I actually quite like an 8 wide frame, but not for right now. Now, things to keep in mind. The generators all explode. They cause damage when they blow up. Let's take a look at mine real quick. I have a gas generator. Adds 3 energy, but when it's destroyed, it explodes and deals 1500 damage in a 10-meter radius, which means you want to keep these things hidden in the most difficult to hit place you can get, which is why I create this split frame here. Another thing I like to do is I like to take, in the structural parts, melee damage-esque bumper things. So let's take the bumper spike for example, and you can set them on the side of your gas tanks. These have a resistance to melee weapons, they have a resistance to damage, they have a resistance, period. They don't add to your structure points, but if you put them down here, it makes it a lot harder to get a hold of your explodey bits, period. So let's get rid of those for now. Gas tanks. I like gas tanks. Gas tanks are good. They make you money. Money is good. So, what do you do when you get to the end of this thing? then you start using your bigger frames. So you know that you're a 6 wide vehicle. Take your 6x4 frame, draw it across the top here. Make sure everything's flush. I like to keep my I start with the frame and I keep it flush. I keep it straight, and the rest of the vehicle follows. So we need one more in order to cover this particular gas tank. Since you have a hazardous generator, it's going to, not a hazardous, since you have a larger generator, it's going to stick up a little bit. This right here, there's no reason to put your horns on the back. There's just no reason for it. So the hazardous generator is bigger, so you might have to tuck it up behind the cab a little bit. Fold it sideways so it still kind of fits underneath your frame here. I don't have one, so I can't exactly show you properly, but it's the general gist of how to properly take care of that kind of a situation. What I do have is a full-size fuel tank, and I recommend getting one of these fairly soon because, you know, your regular fuel tank only gives you 5 fuel per survived match, whereas this one gives you 10. You combine the two of them and you can get 15, which triples what you're currently making cash-wise. Now, take your frame. I keep trying to grab the wrong category. I apologize, there's a slight amount of alcohol in my system right now. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. Razorback. So let's talk about engines. You've got a mass limit of an additional 2,000 kilograms. What that does not do is, if you take a look at your mass down there, you're still yellow right now. It does not raise your tonnage, which is raised by your wheels. Razorback not for sale. Oh, that's why you're using this one. Okay. So this is the wrong engine for this kind of a vehicle. For the growl cab kind of period, you have a max speed limit bonus of 4% as opposed to a power bonus of 30%. Power bonus allows you to use more wheels, which is good because you had 8. Let's take a look at engines real quick. Okay, we're going to look at blues because I'm assuming that's kind of where you're at financially. You've got the Razorback, which has a max speed of 4% and a power of 30%. Not a hell of a lot of extra speed on your build. Great power. The Dunhorse has 14% speed and 15% power. You're still going to be okay. But what it does, and this is the thing to look at, is that tonnage limit right there of an extra 2,500,000 kilograms. With a build like this, that's what you're looking for, a hell of a lot more than you are for the mass limit. Hardcore is not really going to help you at all, but the Dunhorse definitely. The Razorback is for bigger cabs like the Jawbreaker or the Humpback. Now, so when you're putting things underneath your build like this, it's going to end up being longer. You can, and this is what I do for larger cabs, make it an 8x4. Now, in order to do that, let's get rid of that. Get a hold of an 8x4. I assume you don't actually have an 8x4 frame yet, which is fine. It just takes a little bit of working up to get to. What you can do then is you can take 2 of these parts, typically, and stack them side by side. Additionally, this will give you a lot better stability. You're not going to flip as often, so you won't need a car jack. I see you not using one, which is good. Get away from the car jack as possible. Here, right here, this radio, thank you for putting that on your vehicle. It helps you work better with the team. People send you signals, you can see farther on your minimap. Not only that, but what you see on your minimap, what you spot, transmits to other people that have a radio. Every single build should have a radio. Thank you for putting this on. I actually usually put it underneath my build next to my small one, my small fuel tank. Just because then I don't have to think about where I'm putting it. Okay. Let's see. Don't need that. Well, what we can do here, actually, is seal that off right there. You've got the Razorback. Maybe that's my Razorback for not for sale. I don't know if you bought yours or not. I'll usually keep my engine in front, and then I'll use other mods in the back. That's just a personal thing. You can do whatever you want with it. Again, oh, that's why I couldn't get a hold of those. The bumper catches. This is what I usually use underneath my vehicle to keep people from keep damage off of my explodey bits. I'll use this in conjunction with my bumper spikes, which I'm assuming, since you're doing lunatics, you either have or you will have soon. Okay. So, I've gotten rid of all of your armor. Your armor at this point was negligible. There's pretty much not anything worth of note there. Your guns aren't covered. Your cab's not covered. Your wheels aren't covered. Your gas tank's covered. Sure. By armor, which is not the best thing to cover a gas tank with. Here's an issue. The Growl is a tiny, tiny cab. So what you might have to do is, when it's red like this, go underneath, take your gas tank, take this, and put a mod underneath, like that. That way you have at least one thing connecting underneath your cab. I apologize for that. I should have addressed that sooner. Whoops. So, but we can still do this. Now you have lightweight frames, since you're working with lunatics, so you should be able to handle the weight limit associated with your frames. I'm going to get rid of this Razorback because it's just the wrong engine for this kind of build. Put my Cheetah on. Cheetah's expensive. It's a purple part, and I can tell. And with what you've got now, I know that you're not anywhere near getting purple parts. So we'll put a hardcore on. If you have the ability to sell the Razorback, think about it. It's a heavy build. It's a heavy build engine. It's not for light builds. Okay. So this is what I was talking about earlier. You've got your Avengers. A lot of people load them like this. Side to side, not a lot of movement. But you have more movement up and down. So what you can do is rotate them. Put them on the side of your cab. It gives you a little bit of extra swivel. Not a lot, but a little bit of extra. So I'm going to leave it in a forward-facing kind of a position for now. I only have one. You know what? Screw it. I'll just buy one. Oh, right. I had blue highlighted so I wouldn't actually look at one. They're only 9 cents, so it's not that big of a deal. Build. Now I have what I need. So with these, and I saw that you did that a little bit. You can put an item in front of it. With these ones, you can actually probably put 2. You're not going to be able to shoot down, but with as low as your vehicle already is, you're not going to gain too much from putting it down. One thing that people like to do is put these kind of things behind the cab, and I'll show you how to do that. Now here, you see these Grill 1, Grill 2s. Various makeshift pipe structures can be shot through. That is hugely important. What it means is they don't take nearly as much damage from guns as other weapons do. So they make excellent weapon module platforms. So when you put them in front and the back like this, you gain the coverage from your cab. It's a little bit of extra armor. If you want more armor, you can lower these and you see how it still slightly shoots over the cab, you're going to lose a little bit of what's called gun depression. But you'll still be able to shoot forward. This is kind of, losing gun depression is a problem over hills. You won't be able to use the hill with quite as much efficacy as far as coverage goes. You are using medium wheel steerings. Alright, let's take a look at what we've got right now. Look at how fast that turns. It's a very snappy build, and that's because you have wheels in the front and the back. And fire. Now, you're going to pop up. You just one-shot that build, your own build, but that's because you don't have armor. That's not a good cross-section right now. Right now, with the Avengers, I wouldn't recommend putting them quite as low as this. You should at maximum do one fuse point below the cab. See, now you can actually shoot down. And you're able to hit the target from right outside of the garage. The bounce problem that we're having, where your entire vehicle kicks back every single time you take a shot, will be fixed when we put armor on, so don't worry about that too much. Armor. This is entirely to taste. And, you know, takes a little bit of getting used to. I like to keep 2 or 3 in front of the engine here, 2 or 3 layers of armor. So what that'll end up looking like is, I'm going to use Avia panels. Ultimately what it means is a 2x4 piece. I would recommend getting away from Lunatics relatively quickly because they have absolute crap armor. It's just not good. It's the lowest structure in power. It's the lowest hit point armor in the game. It's light, but that's all it is. It's light. So, if you go to your factions, Scavengers are really good, but beyond Scavengers, Steppenwolves. Steppenwolves have some of the best actual armor per piece in the game. I still use a lot of Nomads myself, but it ultimately ends up being about where you go in regard to the game. You have Lunatics, so I'm going to try to stick with Lunatics as much as possible. But 3 pieces in front of the engine, it's going to give you a lot of wiggle room between what gets hit in the front and your cab. Which is really what you need to protect. You need to protect the cab and your guns. So, there's another kind of armor that I'd like to talk about. And it varies from this kind of armor because you see how it adds to vehicle structure by 32 points. Here, structure, 329. That's the hit points that your cab has. It raises when you put standard armor on. See, now it's down to 281. 329, you get it. There's a second kind of armor. And it is the bull bars. It is the bumper catches that you see here. What it is it's resistant to damage, and is resistant not only just to regular damage, but to collision damage. So when you hit it, it's going to last longer. This is extremely important against melee weapons, things like the auger or the buzzsaw, or what I like to affectionately call, not so affectionately, the lawnmower. If you look into the Lunatics and their builds, the Beast has a lawnmower on the front of its build. It's more of a crop harvester than anything. But this second kind of armor is resistant to that. Not a heck of a lot. What you'll find, The one that I like to use is the plows, the small plow and the large plow. You'll get them from the Nomad and the Scavenger builds. I'll go ahead and grab one and show you. Train plow. It's extremely heavy. You're probably not going to be able to put it on a lunatic, a growl cab build. But I'm just going to show you for the sake of this kind of a demonstration. It's something you need to be aware of. Lawnmower to the face of a small plow. It'll take about 2.5 minutes for this massive, nasty melee weapon to cut through this small plow. 6 damage, 4 damage, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. Now if you go where that small plow is not, I'm doing a terrible job showing you. 41, 36, and your build is dead. So it cuts the damage that you're taking by about 90%. Kind of a big number. So, just for the sake of showing you, this is 4 wide. It's a little longer than I'm talking about putting on your build. If we actually move this back, I'll be able to show it to you better. But I like to keep them a little ahead of the wheels. Your bumpers, your bumper catches, this melee weapon armor. Right, I was going to try to keep to lunatics. Boom. Always keep that in the front. I actually have for my lower builds, one in the front, a couple in the front, a couple in the back, and some on the side even, just to prevent melee weapons from getting to me quite so much. I'll show you. My Conquest V3, I've got a small plow, a large plow, and some hatchets on the side. Also because it looks like a bowl, but that's beside the point. Trumbull bar, and a spiky bumper catch right down here in the bottom. I used to do another kind of a bumper catch. What do I call them? I don't even know what they're called anymore. I'm looking in the wrong spot. Bull bar, an actual bull bar on the back. But since the most recent update, I've had to put a radar on, and unfortunately it takes up that spot. So, what can you do? You'll work with what you got and what you can do. You also had a kind of a machine gun on your build. Now, that makes sense for this build, insofar as it's what you've got to work with, right? But now your cannons are kind of in the way. So what you can do there is, I assume it was a cord. You want to keep it low, below the firing line of these guns. You do not want to obstruct these guns in any way, because this is your primary weapon. This gun, all it really is good for is taking out drones and doing a little bit of extra damage to whatever weapon or whatever enemy you're firing at. More of a focus weapon. You don't want to focus on this gun when you're in combat. These are your damage dealers. See, but what happens is, if you look at the little crosshair, occasionally they'll get caught on it. You want to keep that to a minimum. So keep it in the front, keep it in the back, keep it. The best way to do it, to use this particular weapon, is to go here, gun mount. Gun mount has the bonus where it can be shot through, which is exactly what you're looking for your guns. It's what you want to put your guns on. I'm not building a build here for you to use. I'm just giving you kind of a demonstration of how to do things. But if you put it back here, you're not getting in the way of your guns whatsoever. They're completely free to fire. They're covered. But it hangs off quite a lot, which is kind of a problem. You're using a lunatic build, so it's got low mass. Contrary to popular belief, lunatics are kind of a... You need to know what you're doing. They're fast, they're small, but they require a lot more skill than, per se, a Jawbreaker cab. Because you've got more hit points to play with. It's a lot more forgiving. But, yeah, you can do that. You know what? I'm here. I might as well try this. I'm doing a great job making it a good point. So, take what you got, connect it to the cab. I'm off center? No, I'm not off center. Now, cannons are heavy, so you're going to run into the mass limit problem a lot. When you do, if you can, that's when you put more wheels on. So, moving past the lunatic build and to the way that I like to build things, you're probably going to need more parts than you have available to you. But as a general rule of thumb when it comes to armoring your vehicles, what I like to do is 2 wide on the front, or 2 wide on the sides, 3 wide on the front, plus this, the melee weapon kind of preventative measure. And try to connect that to the frames. Frames are hard as nails. So if you can connect something to the frame, do it. And then 1 or 2 on the back. And if you can do more, go with the sides first and then the front, because you've already got the most in the front. Most of your armor should be in the front. Just kind of an end of story. Now, if you take all of this, what you're going to end up looking at is something like my Conquest here, which is 2 wide plus a melee. I don't even know how many wide I have in the front anymore. I've got a large engine, 1, 2, melee, but there's a third one down here in the melee. And then if you look back here, 1, 2, and that's before you get to the mods. What I have here is a charged radiator and a improved cooler. They improve my shotguns and make them more effective as a whole. 2, 3, 2. And it's a good way to, for me, that's a pretty good balance. Now, if you're looking at a heavier build, you've got Toro Machina, which is just kind of a lot of armor. It follows the same general rule, 1, but I've got wheel flanks, and then 2 in the back. I probably missed things. I apologize for it if I did. I guarantee you what I did. If you have any more questions, you know how to get a hold of me. I'm on your friends list. Anyways, thank you for taking the time to look at this video.